Margabandhu John Martarano has been in practice as a holistic health educator and herbalist specialist for over 50 years, and as a master yoga instructor for 54 years. He's been the director of the Wellbeing Center since its inception in 1984 and the Integral Yoga Institute of New Jersey since 1969. He served on the board of directors of the Hippocrates Health Institute in Boston, Massachusetts during its early days. He's a certified acupressure therapist. His consultations cover the areas of acupressure, reflexology, herbology, nutritional counseling, relaxation, and stress management techniques. Very pleased to introduce to you Margabandhu.
So what we do tonight, we start off with digestion. So most of the conditions today, as we get older, our digestion starts to slow down. There's something called our enzymatic production. Those are the digestive enzymes that help us break down starches, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. And when we're lacking certain enzymes, what happens is that they start to ferment in the system. They create a fermentation, especially in the stomach or the bowel. And this fermentation raises up and causes headaches in the beginning. It causes a drop in blood sugar. It causes other conditions just because your digestion is off. And a lot of times, just by improving your digestion, the body starts to heal itself. So in the papers we handed out, there's certain rules for digestion that we use. And they really help. Okay. And one of the rules for digestion is to avoid overeating, which we all do. And why a lot of us overeat is that the part of the brain that tells you you're nutritionally satisfied is called the apostat, and it's in the emotional center of the brain called the hypothalamus region. And if we're stressed out or we're not eating, like in a relaxed manner, that part of the brain doesn't register. See? So what happens is that you don't get full digestion, and it creates some type of fermentation and cause headaches, cause stomach problems. So that's what happens when you're not in a relaxed manner. Other rules are avoid eating and drinking at the same time. See? If you chew your foods well enough, it'll create enough liquid that you'll break down the starches and proteins. Pythalin, which is an enzyme that's secreted in your saliva, see? And that breaks down proteins, see? And if you're drinking some even water at the same time, it dilutes that digestive enzyme, so you don't get complete digestion. And you probably get a fermentation, see? Other rules were like avoid food combining. See? If you combine foods improperly, that'll create another condition of fermentation. When I was a kid, there was a world famous athlete. His name was Bob Mathias. Now I'm dating myself. He won the decathlon, I think, in 1950. And he was on the Wheaties box. Remember the Wheaties box? And the all-American breakfast was cereal and orange juice. Okay? And if you ever poured a glass of orange juice in a cup of milk, you'll see it like curdles and ferments. So that's what it does in your stomach. See? So this is how important your digestive tract is. See? So just by eating in a relaxed manner, chewing your foods really well, avoid your food combinations, those combinations are in the paper there. You'll start to digest a little better. And when you digest better, you assimilate your nutrients better, especially like proteins and fats. See? So there's a fat digesting enzyme called lipase. And that breaks down fats. And a lot of times what happens with cholesterol or headaches or other conditions that they're not digesting fats. What happens is that the body overreacts, and sometimes your gallbladder gets involved because the gallbladder helps to break down fats. So that's why you get certain conditions. Sounds good so far? So the proper thing is to, first thing, watch your food combine, but chew your food really well. I always tell my grandson, Dante, take human bites. They just, young kids, they just eat, without even, chewing well. So that's one of the good rules for improving your health, is to chew your foods really well. And then avoid eating and drinking at the same time. Watch your food combining, and eat in a relaxed atmosphere. Especially, it's very good to meditate even before eating. Because once the mind relaxes, all those parts of the brain that deal with digestion will work much better. So, I lived in an ashram for a year, and all our meals were eaten in silence. And we had to meditate before each meal. See? And before I went to live at the ashram, I had all kinds of digestive disorders. I was always bloated. And I would overeat because I didn't digest properly. When you overeat, it means that you don't fully break down your starches and your proteins. That's why your body's calling for more food. And that's where sugar cravings come from. When we were kids, you got your dessert, the apple pie. Instead of eating an apple, you ate the pie with the sugar. What happens is that most people, when their digestions are off, the blood sugar drops. And when the blood sugar drops, your energy lowers. So the quickest way to get something and more energy back into your body is something sweet. That's where the concept of dessert came in. But if you're digesting well, and that's where the cravings come in when you don't break down your starches and proteins. Once you improve your digestion, those cravings go away. When people sometimes, as soon as they eat, something sweet comes, they want right away, So if you start digesting better, I guarantee you those cravings will go right away. You only need that extra sugar. And what the sugar does, after you eat the starches and proteins, it interferes with the absorption and assimilation of your nutrients, especially protein. And that's when different conditions develop. Headaches, blood sugar drops, allergies. You could clear up allergies in one season. Just by watching your diet. How many people have allergies? Right? We all do, right? Yeah. So, allergies are the body's inability to assimilate themselves to the changes in the seasons. See, when the seasons change, your body has to change. All the organs and glands have to do a different job. See? So when those organs and glands are not working properly, it slows down the digestion. So what happens? Everything comes out through the eyes, ears, nose, and throat. That's how allergies start. So how you can correct the allergy in one season is just for like 1 week or just 3 days, don't eat any mucus-forming foods. You can drink a lot of warm water and lemon or some juices, and just stay away from breads, fats, starches, and your body, it'll help tremendously. That's what I recommend to people all the time. And especially something like arthritis, which, see, when the seasons change, a lot of things arthritis acts up between September and December. See, certain diseases have certain months that they, favor. And arthritis is, because I have a few friends, my wife especially, they have arthritis. So it acts up during that time of the year. One of the best things for arthritis, one of the best fruits for arthritis is cherries. What cherries do, cherries eliminate the uric acid from your body. That's what cherries do. See, each fruit has a different property. I want you to know the different, like apples, apples will, help assimilate your nutrients. That's why in the beginning it was an apple after meal, but not an apple pie. That's what happens. So you're different. So cherries, I've done this a number of times. For 3 days during the changes of the seasons, I would eat like a bowl of cherries 3 times a day and just drink distilled water. And that'll flush all the uric acid right out of your body. It helps out tremendously. Any questions so far about that? No. Everybody understand that? So different fruits, if you want to do like a 1 day fast, you could just drink like liquids. You don't have to go on water. Just you could drink some juices, or you could just puree some fruits, and then just so at least you get something. Because some people are not used to having nothing in your body. See? So you could just puree some apples or pears, squeeze a lemon in there, and puree, and just almost like eat it like a juice, but it's a little thicker. And your body will like digest it, and it'll help your elimination as well. So that's what as far as allergies are concerned. And like I said, cherries and celery is number one fruits actually for arthritis. Celery has salicylic acid, which helps to break down calcium deposits in the body. See, when you don't assimilate properly, what happens is your joints, all the acid, and it hardens. That's what forms the calcium, that's what forms arthritis. So there's 3 things that break up calcium deposits. 3 fruits? Yeah. Celery juice, number 1, beets, and grapefruit. Those are 3 foods that help to break up calcium deposits. I wouldn't use grapefruit too much because it's acidic, so some people would have a hard time with the grapefruit. But celery and beets work really well. And that would help out, especially with arthritis. And you get these autoimmune diseases, arthritis, anemia, osteoarthritis, bursitis, which is, what happens in bursitis, you get your sacs, and what happens, they get the acid gets into the joint. That's what they call them bursa sacs. And those bursa sacs get inflamed. And a lot of times you can't even pick up your arms sometimes because the sacs are all inflamed. So you can take anti-inflammatory. Turmeric is a really good anti-inflammatory. And there's herbs like burdock and comfrey are really good for arthritis. So as an herbalist, herbs have been around for a long time. So there's 2 practices that when I started my healing journey, there's 2 things that I did: yoga and herbs. Okay? So I got into yoga, for relaxation, relaxing my mind, and the herbs to clean out the rest of my body. I'm not asking you to go on a totally raw food diet, but just watch certain foods, Like dairy products, just be careful with dairy products. I always tell people, Borden's owns Elmer's glue, so you gotta be careful. They use the same picture. You ever see the picture? Glue? Same picture, So, and it's pretty hard to break down. So dairy products, I'd be careful. And then sugars, and then starches. So a good meal, a well-balanced meal, would be like vegetables and your protein. If you're not a vegetarian, I would at least stay away from red meats and shellfish. Shellfish is very high in uric acid, blood sugar. And people that get the gout usually, they really have a pain. And even certain nuts will cause irritation too. So you gotta watch nuts if you have a condition like that. Like almonds are the best nuts for me. When I was at a party, a lot of people were even allergic to the sunflower dressing and the sesame dressing. So just by watching your diet really well, watching your food, your combinations, eating in a relaxed atmosphere, that'll help out a lot. Chewing your food, just follow the mechanics of eating. When Swami Satchidananda, my teacher, first came into this country, he didn't tell us to become a vegetarian. He taught us the mechanics of eating. Don't be a gavoon. You're a gavoon? When I first got here, I worked in a deli. I worked in a deli, Labella, right? Yeah. So I worked in a deli. I started working in the deli. I was 15 years old. I was 129 pounds. This was in April. July, I was 158 pounds. That's how, I ate everything in sight. I didn't eat dinner home for 2 years. Because I just skipped all day long, it's crazy, But then I got sick from it because I ate so much, the cheese, the provolone, the pepperoni, it was like, that was it. So when I got into yoga, my teacher told me, he didn't tell me to become a vegetarian, he said, but he gave me the mechanics of eating. He says, if you want to get better, he says, you really have, he says, I'm not telling you to become a vegetarian, I'm just telling you watch the mechanics of eating. He said, that's going to get you better. So I only ate 1 bowl per meal. So and then went back for seconds. That's right there, And your body has the capacity to break down 16 ounces of food per meal. That's not a lot. And 4 ounces should be protein. So if you're doing that fixed diet, I guarantee you, if you do that in 1 month, certain conditions that you might have will really go away. Because your body is breaking everything down properly. That's why you can eat the best meal, if you're not breaking it down, it still converts into acid and still causes condition in your body. See? That's why the mechanics of eating, are really important, no matter what diet you have. See? My father, he broke time, and after a while, as he got older, he watched his diet. He started only, he was very middle, very light, and he tried a vegetarian diet for a while. He lived, he was 96, and he was in good shape. So as we get older, we have to watch our enzymatic production, and you'll improve your digestion by just watching, the food combined, like the mechanics in that page. Any questions so far? No? Any answers? Yes.
I have 2 questions.
Go ahead.
Does digestion interfere with meditation?
It interferes with meditation.
Digestion.
Yeah, because if you're not digesting something, your body's trying to, your brain is going to, see the part of the brain that tells you, the hypothalamus region, in that part of the brain there's these cells, they call it the hippocampus, that's your memory cell. So when you're trying to eat, okay, and trying to digest at the same time, the hippocampus doesn't know what to do, can't remember what to do anymore. See? So by just watching, that's why before you eat, you do some meditation or even deep relaxation, that'll help clear up. But this is definitely, indigestion interferes with meditation. That's the answer.
What do you eat for breakfast? Because I have cereal and milk, and you said milk is not good, so.
Well, at the end, we drink green juice. We make a juice out of celery, dandelion, and spinach. Okay? And then we have a protein Premjyoti makes with sunflower and beets. It's called pate, and we have that. That's our breakfast. See? But you could eat fruit, you could eat, if you want to have cereal, if you eat a breakfast, because some of you have to go to work, like oatmeal is good, or oat bran, spelt is good. Some of the cereals are really good. So you could do that,
Do you drink milk at all, or not?
No. We make almond milk. Yeah.
I just had 2 questions. Do you make your almond milk from scratch?
Yes.
And do you also puree your celery and fortify it and eat the fiber of the celery?
No. We make the juice and we strain
So
it.
you use the juice strain, and that's draining.
Yeah, we strain it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The almond milk from the eggs. There was there was a doctor years ago. He says you eat a dozen eggs per day, it lowers your cholesterol. So everybody's eating a dozen eggs, go to the doctor, cholesterol's lowered, and they die of strokes. So what happens, when you eat a lot of eggs, it sticks the cholesterol to the arterial wall, so it doesn't leak. See, cholesterol's right in your bloodstream. See, when you take a blood test to read your cholesterol. See, so it wasn't reading properly. So these people were eating the eggs. Well, this is great. The cholesterol's lower, and then the next day, goodbye. So the point being, eggs is not a great thing. I don't recommend it, but if you're gonna do, poach it. Egg whites, yeah. It's a question. I don't know. God made it for a reason, right? With the chickens, So
And I just had one other, like, last question.
Yeah.
If you make almond milk from scratch, do you keep the skin on the almond or do you do lectin-free?
I just leave the skin,
You leave the
blend
skin
it
on,
up.
blend it
Yeah.
up, and then drain it and put it through cheese.
Oh, I strain it,
You strain
yeah. Matter of fact, I put ginger in. When
Nice
you-
combination.
Well, when you add ginger to something, especially you go to a store, you see ginger and carrot juice. What ginger does, it makes you assimilate the calcium because carrot juice by itself is a starch. See, when I was at Apocalypse, Dr. Rand, one time I made carrot juice, she was doing it out of the kitchen, because I was running the kitchen there, because it's too starchy to break down by itself. So she would add ginger to the carrot juice, and I add ginger to our almond milk. That helps you break down and assimilate the nutrients. See, you know, ginger it's a really good herb. You know, it's good for circulation. It's good for the heart. It's good for your digestive system. See, so
My family has a high blood pressure.
there's a formula that I've been giving this woman. I've been on Joanne. Yeah. She's been on high blood pressure for 30 years. High blood pressure. It was like 200 sometimes. And I've been seeing her about how much? A year? 5 years? Yeah. Anyways, no more, but blood pressure's like 120/80. Yeah. Red clover. Well, this is a combination I used for her because I used comfrey, burdock, and dandelion. Comfrey, I'll write that. Or comfrey, burdock, and dandelion. Which one? Comfrey? Comfrey is very high in allergen. It helps heal connective tissue. Comfrey.
An old herb, ancient herb.
Yeah. It's an herb.
It's a green.
It's a green.
Bro.
Yeah.
You could buy
But what you use the stem. See, the stem it has the allergen in it. The stem has the allergen, which heals connective tissue. You if you want, sometimes they grow wild, but sometimes you can go to what do you call it?
landscape place like Rosler's in Allendale, they sell comfrey plants.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So you could go to a landscape place.
Yeah.
And they will sell it.
They sell, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a place in Lincoln Park by Eddie's house. There was a whole field of comfrey. And the guy used to sell honey. So I asked the guy, I said, do you know what those plants are? He said, no. I said, could I pick them? Yes. So I picked a whole bunch. I used to go there. And then the next year I went, and they burned the fields down. I don't know why.
Do you juice that? Do you juice those?
Comfrey, I don't usually do. I can blend it, use the poultice. You could, but I usually don't. You know, it's comfrey. It's the whole animal in itself. You know, it's good for injuries too. You know, so I mean, you know, during their what do you call it? The wars. The word I'm using in Rome, the Romans. The Romans would plant their herbs because the wars lasted for years. So they would bring the herbs with them. They would plant them because they could be there for a while, you know.
What do you say to somebody? I mean, some of these things are sometimes poisonous if you take too much, you know? So what do you say to somebody that's afraid of that aspect of it?
Well, the herbs that I use, because you're talking about fire, like some other herbs.
Burdock is, you know, can't take too much of that,
No, burdock is harmless.
right? Burdock is-
I drink it every day.
Okay, because that's the only one that I see on there. You can drink that every day.
Yeah, burdock is no problem. We drink it every day.
Okay.
Yeah. Burdock, when I was a kid, you know, coming from the Italian neighborhood, we used to go pick up, anybody Italian, child, you ever hear Gardona? Yeah, okay, Gardona, I'm with friends now, okay, I can talk about this. So,
I'm a past life
So Garduna, I used to go with these all the time. I was a kid. I was an 8 kid, and my mother used to send me out. And there's in Italian family, it's a poor man's delicacy. That's what it is. And it's a plant, and it grows, and it has stems, you know? And I used to go pick it, and I used to go all the time, and they tell me, bring a hammer with a axe at the end, because you gotta harvest it from the root. And they would tell me to boil the root, because it was a blood puree. They knew this, but they didn't know what it was. Then it became burdock. That's what it was. Garduna is burdock. Yeah, right? And, yeah, so we would boil that, you know? And then my mother would destring the stem, bread it, and fry it. It was delicious. We used to have Garduna parties, because it's only season. It only has a 2 months. That was delicious. Yeah. So, matter of fact, we used to go pick the Gardunas, and they used to harvest them where we were, and we used to put them in bags. And they used to go to pick them all the time. Women used to come out. Quanto nuovo formaggio, you know, so how much a pound you gonna charge? So we used to get the bag. So, but it was a delicacy that we had as a kid. We looked forward to it, but it was seasonal, you know. Yeah, there was a deli that I grew up with. It's called the Toners in Garfield. Oh, hallelujah, right? They made Garduna. She would make Joanne, right? She would make 100 pounds during the Christmas week. I would buy 5 pounds. My family, because every Christmas Eve we had it at my house, right? My family, you know, they would come walking, they bring their own forks. As soon as Garduna, they Garduna, you know, really. Yeah, it could go on the side of the road, yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Then we going up 94 to go to,
Yeah, it's some, up there, it was really
then
big.
they stop the car and they start chopping everything.
Yeah. I got arrested once. We were going to Connecticut, and we're in a van. You know, back then they'd arrested me long-haired hippie, they'd arrest you no matter what, but we were picking the plants. We see Garduna on the side, and we're picking the plants, and all of a sudden the state troopers, Connecticut state troopers come, now we're under arrest. So, and all of a sudden this guy, he was from the Department of Agriculture at the University of Connecticut, he comes down, and these cops are really the biggest bust of the year, you know? And he goes, yeah, that's a plant. And he goes, get out of here, it's not marijuana, they must throw us marijuana. So anyway, they let us go.
So how do you spell Garduna? I mean, is that burdock?
Yeah, burdock. Gardone. That's one way to spell it. Then there's Gardone. It depends on where dialect. We're part of, pardon? Yeah. It's Gardone. Yeah.
Isn't there something called cardoons also? There's cardoons, Cardoons.
That's the Irish version. Yeah. So good.
Feel about the herbs of the capsules. I have herbal capsules of burdock. I've been using them for years.
Oh, the capsules? That's okay. Yeah. Sometimes it's always good to have but some of the capsules, it depends on what company.
Right, whether they're standardized or pure.
Dr. Christopher is a good herbal company. Dr. Christopher, yeah. That's who I studied, that's who we studied with, you know. But, you know, so. And other herbs, you know, if you're concerned, like, any other questions? Go ahead.
What are the benefits of fasting?
Of what?
Fasting.
Fasting, you rest the body. If you did a 1-day fast, because when you digest, all your organs and glands are working. You know, and the more you eat, the harder it has to work. So if you just fasted 1 day, your organs rest for the day. But if you did a 3-day fast, what happens after? See, during a 3-day fast, depending on what you're fasting on, if it's water, the proteins, everything that's stored in your body starts to burn out any malignancies in your system. That's what after 3 days, that's what your body does. The body has an inherent formula to make itself better. See? It can heal itself at any time if you work with it. See? And once you work with the assistants, the age doesn't matter. When I worked at Hippocrates, there was his guy's grandchildren came. And they dropped up their grandfather. I think he was like 9 years old. From chemo, he lost all his hair. He had no hair, he had a tumor on his brain. And they dropped him off because they figured they couldn't do nothing with him, right? 3 months later, he hopped on a bus by himself, full head of hair, and went back to the kids. They must have freaked out, you know. Yeah, so that's what I saw at Hippocrates, you know. See? That's why the body can regenerate itself at any time.
What do you think of the 16-hour fast?
Excellent. So they call it intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
Ideally, to fast, to really let it work properly, you have to go that whole period, go to sleep, rest, let the body recalculate itself, and then get the benefit of the fast. Intermittent fasting is okay, you're resting the body, but you're not going to get the full body of a regular fast where you go through the whole session where you let the body, allow the body rest, allow the body to recalculate what it was doing during the fast. See, the intermittent fasting is okay, but you're just resting the body. I have people tell me, I fast every day from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock. 8 in the morning, 12 o'clock, they fast every day. It's okay, you know. So, fasting depends on, you know, Swami Satchidananda says, before you fast, he says, don't eat fast. That's what he always said. Because eating fast, you're not breaking anything anyway. See?
How often do you recommend to do the 16-hour fast? Once a week?
Yeah, once a week. You can start off, see, you know, fasting, you have to have a plan. You know, if you're going to do a one-day fast, the day before you eat light and the day after you eat light. If you don't do that, you destroy all the value of the fasting. See? I've broken every rule of fasting. I've broken a 3-day fast with a peanut butter sandwich. You know, so you got to watch. I mean, you have to be really careful. So when you're fasting, you know, your body's resting. See, so the day before and Swami Satchidananda always advocated that. The day before the fast, just eat very light so your body gets used to feeling light. Then during the fast, if you're going to do juices or water, whatever it is, then you do that. And then the day after fast, you break it very light. And the day after, when you break your fast, ideally you should have a bowel movement right after that. Because then the body cleans out the toxins. Otherwise, the fast was okay, but it didn't work as well as it should. So that's it.
So the 16-hour fast, you said once a week is good. Do you recommend you do that every day if you can?
Well, you know, you could. You know, it's 60, depends on how you break. Like I said, it always depends on how you break. Some people, they don't eat, and then after they're starving, they kaboom, you know. So you have to watch that, you know. If you're going that long without it, then you should be able to eat that light. See? If you're not, then you have to be careful. You know. See? So, you know, like I said, if you're going to fast, have a plan. You know, what you're going to do, what you want to accomplish. See, what you want to accomplish with that fast. Then have a nice plan, write it down, you know, but don't tell anybody. Because as soon as you tell anybody you're fasting, they're going to invite you for dinner. Oh, Mary, I made this apple pie, it's delicious. I mean, I've done it myself. I would announce, you know, I'm going to fast for a couple of days, or get a call. You know, hey, come on, take you out to dinner. You know, so don't, just keep it to yourself. Yeah.
I just want to say, I Googled burdock, and Japanese eat it as a vegetable.
Yes.
There's a nice Japanese market over
Yeah.
here. You could probably get burdock there because they have fresh
Yeah.
vegetables over there.
Whole Foods has it too.
Whole Foods, oh, yes.
Yeah. What the macrobiotics used to do is they used to saute the vegetables with burdock in it because the alkaline reserves from the burdock took the acid away from when you assimilate the food. See? So that's a burdock. No, the burdock, you cut the burdock up, you just assimilate with the vegetables, stir fry it with the vegetables. Yeah. You cook it, yeah.
That's the first one, the comrade.
Comfrey helps to heal connective tissue. The Allerton helps to heal connective. Allerton heals connective tissue. See, if you have an injury, Comfrey's really good. You know, and so you know. Well, this is the juice. I make the herbs. and add red clover to it. That's for the blood pressure. That's cooked. That's, yeah. Yeah, yeah. This is a combination. Yeah. This is the alkaline form. They call it alkaline. It's alkaline. It's very good for arthritis. Yeah, put it together.
Make tea.
All right, yeah. So, in other words, I get a handful of comfrey, a handful of burdock, a handful of dandelion, right? To dry. Have the water come to a boil. Put it in, let it boil for 3 or 4 minutes, lower the flame for about 10 minutes, let it simmer, and shut it off and let it sit. When it cools, you drink that.
Like tea.
Yeah. So a lot of your old, what I call warriors, they use, Hannibal called, of course, the Alps on flaxseed. See? And a lot of them use those herbs, and they were familiar with that, you know. I mean, Rome had the best sewage system known to man. That's why they were so popular. See? The Greeks were the first to deal with, herbal medicine. Greeks were really, Greeks were very popular as far as like healing was concerned. Egyptians used to do implants, dental implants. See, so a lot of old, those old remedies, and then they were lost.
Did you say Allicin is good for regrowing hair also?
Burdock.
Okay, so there's Allicin in burdock.
No, burdock has inulin. Burdock is inulin, which inulin is good for the entire digestive tract. I use burdock. I stick on my hair. I drink it every day. Yeah. When I first got into this whole healing thing, I was losing my hair. That's what I got into. Yeah. So, but burdock helps helps hair loss. Yeah. And if you make it real strong, you can actually feel the hair follicle. In other words, there's a food we used to have in the Hippocrates that works really good. It has rutin. Rutin is a nutrient which repairs capillary damage. Okay? Buckwheat greens, So, at Hippocrates, cancer patients, diabetics, no matter what, everybody knows the hair got thicker. And one week, see, my hair feels thicker, because the rutin repairs capillary damage. And when you're losing your hair, say, for example, here's the scalp. You have the papillae, the capillaries, okay? Then you have papillae, which are thinner. And then when the body becomes too acidic, the capillaries break, so it doesn't feed the papillary, which feeds the hair follicle. So when the capillary it's too acidic, it breaks the papillary, which feeds the hair follicle. So no nutrients gets to the scalp. So at Hippocrates, because buckwheat greens were so high in rutin, which repairs capillary damage, everybody's hair got thicker. Rutin, R-U-T-I-N. Like buckwheat greens. Sprouts. Sprout, yeah. Want to start a business? We start. Yeah. If you want the buckwheat greens, see Prema Jyoti, you could order it. All right, brother? Yeah, really, yeah.
You can get buckwheat at Whole Foods also, right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta watch that, yeah. They're buckwheat greens. They're a sprout made from the grain buckwheat itself. It's the sprouts, and you have them in salad.
It's a plant.
It has a
It
buckwheat.
grows. It's little, like alfalfa sprouts, there's buckwheat sprouts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So buckwheat and burdock are good for hair loss.
yeah. If you want to have a really good, diet plan, have enough, some fruits in the morning if you want, or oatmeal, then a nice salad for lunch with a lot of greens, like arugula, spinach, alfalfa sprouts. In Hippocrates, that's what we had was greens.
So you don't eat protein at all?
Protein you can have with, protein made out of sunflower seeds, sunflower seeds and almond milk, that's our proteins. Almond milk, yeah.
Do you soak almond? Do you soak it in the water?
You should, but I don't. Yeah, well, yeah. Edgar Casey swore by it. Remember Edgar Casey? 3 almonds a day, that's it. 3 almonds a day, yeah.
Eating the 3 nuts.
Yeah. But he ate it with the skin on. See, the skin has a, yeah.
But the lectin, for some, they say that's not favorable. The lectin in the skin of the almond, if you follow
Yeah.
something like Dr. Gundry, they would tell you not to have the skin on the almond and to use a raw almond when you're making almond milk.
Yeah, without the skins. Yeah, I use the skins.
But you take it away
Oh, you only squeeze
So you
it.
squeeze it out,
Yeah.
you take it away.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah.
consuming it.
No. Sometimes you can buy the almonds just already skinned.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah.
And I put cinnamon,
Cinnamon? Okay, yeah.
not ginger.
No.
I'll try that.
Try ginger and cinnamon. You can do both. Yeah, yeah. Anything else? So how we doing so far, okay? Already, yeah. All right. So we got a plan as far as our eating habits, right? See, yeah. That's why kids, sometimes in their cities, when I was a school teacher, I taught Patterson, when you have a poor diet, it really affects your ability to respond, as far as academically, So I'm all in favor of improving diet, especially young kids, because it helps them tremendously. Because a lot of problems, they did a study with the inner city kids, and they get petite moles. Those are moles where you don't get full convert, but they space out for a couple minutes. And that affects the learning capacity. The learning, right, yes. Are you teaching?
No, but I know what it is.
Yes, so they call it. So I used to be teaching, all of a sudden you see and there was one kid I got really attached to Howard, and he was really a good student, but some days he'd just boom, and that's because of stress and poor nutrition, see, so that's what happens, a lot of times, especially, there was in Newark, when they started some programs in Newark, so I taught yoga to the students there, and they started a program. I taught in prison, and they wanted to start a plan for nutrients with the inmates. Because they said that most of your violent crimes are committed when the blood sugar was low. Yeah.
What happens if you're exposed to, you're talking about people with a diet, with a dietary, where they have that learning? That happens with people that are exposed to mold,
Yes.
or when they're exposed to, like myself, with a nickel systemic allergy. So if I have too many greens in the vegetable, I get all red systemically, and it's coming out, so.
Well, that's the histamine. Sometimes that's histamine. And a lot of times histamine comes out when the body's trying to throw something out. There's some bitter herbs that might help. One is called golden seal, and the other one's called gentian. Gentin. Gentian, they call it a stomatic. And the stomach, what it does is it neutralizes all the acids in the stomach. They used to, in Italy, they treat crazy people with gentian. Yeah, because they're deranged people have stomach problems or something. In China too, yeah. So, anyway.
That's for antihistamine.
That's right,
Gentian.
that's right.
And both, golden seal or yeah.
But golden seal's easy to find.
Yeah. So, but gentian, it's pretty easy, right?
Is it easy to find?
We can, yeah. Come ask.
It's an essential oil you can get it as an essential oil also.
I don't know. We take it down. Gentian.
No,
Oh, it's something different.
yeah.
Hold on.
He's gonna spell it out. GENT.
Yeah.
And what was the other thing? Golden seal.
seal.
Okay.
You get them on them.
But the
Right.
golden seal or the gentian? I think I got that from you.
Yeah. Golden seal. Sometimes with bitter herbs, you have to be careful because it does thin out the blood, so you can't take it for too long. You have to use it like with medication. See? So use it once in a while I'll go like for like 2 weeks and I just have gentian first thing in the morning, because it neutralizes the acids in the stomach as well. See, and that helps out a lot, you know. Gentian is good for headaches as well.
What if you were telling someone here in this room to leave here today and start tomorrow morning, one thing besides distilled water and lemon, what would you add to your health?
Ginger.
You need to learn about an herb.
Ginger.
Support, product, food, whatever.
And honey.
Honey?
Local honey with ginger and lemon, that's the best.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you talk about me personally, there's an herb that I use that really helps me out, but it's expensive, but it's a form of ginger. It's called tenchi. And that's T-I-E-N-C-H-I. And what it does, it's good for heart attacks, it's good for everything, but it's expensive. The other herb I would use would be, you can do burdock. Burdock is safe.
And that's safe if you just took one capsule a day,
Oh,
like for
yeah.
start with and
It helps your blood. The factor in burdock is called inulin, which heals also the whole alimentary canal. See? Crohn's disease, it's really good for that. Celiac. Another good herb for inflammations, especially Crohn's, is something called licorice root. That helps inflammations.
So is there such a thing as taking burdock and buckwheat too fast?
No.
Okay. That's why I defer
Yeah, okay.
That's why I
Sure.
went that route.
What is the diet?
Manuka is probably the best honey in a raw form. Has more nutrients. Yeah. Bee pollen's good. Years ago, I was part of a program, and we had to go to different towns. You know, what do you call it? Not Jackson White's. The kids. We had to go anyway. I had to go to a beekeeper. I had to go through the woods to see this beekeeper. And it was, I remember Jack Pat. And it was 5 degrees out. And I went to this guy to get the honey to bring to these people. And this robust guy comes out with a guinea pig, 5 degrees. He's walking around, helping us out. Didn't even feel like a really healthy looking guy. He was like 70 years old. And what he did, he had a hive. And he says, it's not the pollen. He says, when the bees fly in, what's on their leaf is the propolis. And he had that every day. Fresh propolis. This guy was so vibrant. You know. If you can get a hold of that, that's really good. Yeah. I was so impressed with this guy. Yeah, he was just this 5 degrees, he's walking, showing us things. I'm bumbling up there. He started walking around with his little tomorrow. Time for a break. I can stay all night. So once I start talking, it's hard to stop. 15-minute break, then questions and answers. Okay?
Yes, Margabandhu, thank you so much.
Let's give